Okay, so you just got done watching, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but watching how do you create a multiple offer situation, right? If you're the seller, well, what happens if you're on the other side of that? What happens if you're the buyer and you're trying to win in a multiple offer situation? How do you do that? Okay, well, stick with me here because I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. First and foremost, it comes down to making sure that you have an agent that knows how to write a contract properly. Believe it or not, a lot of agents don't know how to write a contract, which means as a listing agent, when I get a contract and I could see that it's riddled with mistakes, that causes fear in my mind and doubt, right? And so if I'm comparing offers and I know that one is written well, and you, by the way, wouldn't have any idea, more than likely, that the contract was written well or not, because you're just relying on the expert to do it properly for you, right? But there is a right way and a wrong way to present it, to write it, all that stuff. You're in a disadvantage if you're just dealing with somebody that just doesn't know how to do that, right? So it starts with the writing of the contract, making sure that you hire somebody that works with a lot of buyers and understands how to do this, right? Then it comes down to the lender that you select. The lender that you select will work for you or against you, right? If it is a local lender that the listing agent recognizes, we know listing agents that do a lot of volume, they know which banks to stay away from typically and which banks get the job done. But the thing that we care more about than any of that is, does the lender and the agent or the lender and the client have a relationship? Have they gone the battle before? Will they get us to the finish line, right? So that's important, because when we see a letter that comes from either an online lender where we know that the agent doesn't have a relationship with that online lender, or the consumer doesn't have a relationship with that online lender, that puts you, the buyer, at a disadvantage, because it causes fear and doubt in the mind of the listing agent. And they're going to take that information back to their seller, and then all things being equal, the price and terms are the same, and one is a lender that everybody recognizes, or there's a relationship there between the agent and the lender, and one that's an online lender that there is no relationship, they're going to select the other one 100% of the time, right? Okay, so that's important. Just got to set that stage. That's the very, very beginning piece. Now, another piece that we look at is what's the professionalism of the agent, the buyer agent. Is that buyer agent picking up the phone and introducing themselves and then presenting the offer verbally, or at least being able to tell the story of the buyer, right? You'd be surprised at how many offers in a multiple offer situation we get where the buyer's agent just sends the offer, never picks up the phone, never calls, never has their lender call the listing agent, us, to have that discussion. And it blows my mind, because now what it's done is that it's put that buyer at a disadvantage. And unfortunately, you don't even know, right? You don't even know if you're the buyer. So you got to have an agent that picks up the phone and calls and sells you and sells your story, right? Super important. Then the other pieces have everything to do with your level of comfort, on what you're willing to remove or keep when it comes to terms and price, right? So that's going to be different for everybody. Just know that in level of order, in a perfect world, the type of offer that a listing agent wants to get is clean. What does clean mean? Clean means it's cash. There is no financing contingency. There is no appraisal contingency. There is no home inspection contingency, and that's pretty much it, right? Like, that's as good as it gets. And then from there, we're doing the analysis of, okay, well, if we don't have an all cash, non-contingent offer, what's the next best one? Is it all cash, but they're holding an appraisal contingency and they still have their home inspection contingency, right? So we start evaluating these things, right? Is it a strong financed offer that has removed its appraisal contingency and removed its financing contingency, and maybe they just keep it for informational purposes only? So there's this like a matrix, like, yeah, let's just say there's a metric system, not a metric system. There's a matrix, right, of how you would, analyze all of these things, right? And so as a listing agent, I'm evaluating all these different data points to figure out which one puts my seller in the best position, right? And really what I'm asking myself is this question: who is going to get us to the finish line with the least amount of headaches, in the least amount of time, and for the most money, right? And so there's all these variables. I guess that's what I was trying to say, is there's all these variables that we are analyzing to determine that, right? So you'll have to get together with your buyer's agent to really figure out what your comfort level is. Are you comfortable removing the home inspection and maybe just keeping it for informational purposes only with the right to void, right? Are you comfortable doing that? Only you would know that. And a lot of it might have a lot to do with what the condition of the house is in, right? Are you comfortable removing an appraisal contingency? Are you comfortable, not having a financing contingency? This is all up to you, right? Just know that the beginning piece that I talked about is super critical, because if you don't set the stage right, if you haven't selected the right professional to present you correctly, and you haven't selected the right lender that provides trust, right, or exudes trust in the mind for the listing agent, then right off the bat, you've already lost, right? So that is how you win in a competitive environment. That's how you win multiple contracts. And as always, I hope you're having an awesome day. I hope this provided value, and I hope to cross paths with you sometime soon. Take care.